My viewers and subscribers asked me to show my work to prove that $500,000 is not enough to retire on early at age 55 and successfully live out the rest of your life in retirement. It's Saturday morning. I have time. I'm ready to show my work. Stay with me. So a few things before I skip to my computer that I wanted to discuss with you, the subscribers. I'm running the numbers for you, but I'm really not using the gold standard software. The gold standard software is what I use in my day-to-day business, and there's different software that we can use for this, but that's the gold standard for retirement planning, and that often includes something called a Monte Carlo simulation that can tell me the odds and probability of success and what detracts and adds to the probability of success. That software is often proprietary and is owned by my corporation, so I don't have an opportunity to use it. So I had to rely on my good old HB10 calculator from my CFP days that I still keep on my desk and occasionally do calculations on, but I basically had to run the calculations manually. But I'm not using retirement planning software that I usually use in my day-to-day operations for a very good reason. I also want to emphasize that this is not financial advice. Please do not take what I'm doing in this video as financial advice that is directly applicable to you. Take the numbers, take the information, and think it's going to work out for you. It's not. I can guarantee you it will look differently for you. First of all, I'm using historical market performance data for the last 20 years. Second, inflation is going to be different. Taxes are going to be different. Life circumstances are going to be different. Different states have different tax rates. Do not take this information and say, okay, Robin, a CFP, went online and did this information, therefore it will work for me. No, no, no. If you are considering early retirement or if you are considering retirement, I really strongly encourage you to set up an appointment with a certified financial planner so they can work with you on the software that we use in our profession, talk with you about your situation, and come up with an answer of whether you are ready for retirement or not. Also, I just want to emphasize that I am a certified financial planner. I am a certified private wealth advisor. I've done hundreds of retirement plans, but you are not to take the information that you're seeing today and take it as financial advice. It's not financial advice. Speak to a certified financial planner, speak to a certified private wealth advisor, speak to a financial advisor, and get your own plan together for retirement. So let's switch over to my computer screen. I am going to show you the numbers in just a moment, but I want to talk through the assumptions first. So first of all, I'm assuming that this individual retires at age 55, has $500,000 all in a retirement account, and this individual is going to use the average spend rate for a retiree in America, which is currently $4,818. I'm going to go easy on this person and assume that's their spend down rate before tax. I think that's the spend down rate after tax, but just for the sake of argument, I'm going to give 15% to the government for taxes. Now, a word about the 15% tax rate. That is something I pulled out of thin air. If you are in certain states like California, Hawaii, Illinois, New York, your tax rate may be higher and is not calculated for here. I also believe that taxes in the US are going to be higher in the future. So with 15%, I feel like I'm going easy on this person, but we've got to start somewhere. I'm also assuming a 3% rate of inflation. Inflation is very important in retirement projections. A lot of retirement projections use 2% inflation as the standard rate, but I always use 3%. Why? Because I believe inflation will be higher in the future, and 3% is a more accurate projection of retirement inflation rates for Generation X, Millennials, and Gen Zers. Now, 3% things get tough. 4% things get really tough, and about 70% of retirement plans fail at the start with a 4% rate of inflation. And when you get to a 5% rate of inflation, basically everyone retirement plan fails, even millionaires, because the inflation is just so substantial. It's really hard to keep up with the cost of living adjustments that happen at a continuous 5% inflation. So inflation is super important for retirement planning. And for this purpose, I set it at 3%. Let me give you the big reveal of how much money this person has. And I'm going to talk you through it. It's a lot of numbers here. Okay. So what I did in terms of performance was I looked at a 60-40 portfolio over the last 20 years. And ChatGPT was very helpful in giving me those returns, and they were quite accurate. So I'm very impressed with ChatGPT for that. I didn't go back further than 20 years because once you go back further than 20 years, there's a lot of economic policies that have changed that impact market performance. And I don't feel it's really an accurate projection forward for those reasons. If I need to do more than 20 years of projection, I basically just started the cycle over again at the 20-year point with year one in the 20-year cycle. So your numbers will look different. They will look different because market performance is going to be different. Taxes are definitely going to be different, and inflation may be slightly different. So don't take this as gospel. If you are considering retirement, whether it's at 55, 65, 75, whatever, several years before retirement, I really think it would behoove you to be in a financial advisor's office so they can use the official proprietary software to do this and accurately predict out what are your chances of your money lasting through your retirement. So let's get into it. Back in 2003, the market returned on a 60-40 portfolio about 19%, which is pretty darn good. You retired out at age 55. I would have told you don't retire. It's not your time. Work a few more years, but you were insistent. You retired at age 55. You withdrew $57,816 because you needed to account for inflation. Okay, fine. So with a 19% return and a withdrawal of almost $58,000 at the end of your year, your account balance in your retirement account would be $536,000. So if I asked you at the end of year one if you were happy in retirement, you would say, yes, absolutely. I made the right decision to retire out. Look, my account has more money than when I started off with. This is great. Okay, 2004 return on the market was about 8%, which is pretty good. You need to withdraw $59,550 to keep up with that 3% inflation. At the end of the year, you'd have about $515,000. Same thing, you're still thinking retirement was a good idea. You're very happy with the decision. So, okay, 2005, the market returns are more muted. The market return is just at 4%. You need to take out $61,000. For the first time, your account balance dips below $500,000. This is typically a point where people start getting a little bit concerned, and maybe we would have a conversation. And your account balance at the end of the year is about $473,000. You're still happy with your decision to retire, but you thought you were going to stay north of that $500,000 figure number a lot longer, and maybe you are a little bit concerned. So let's go to the bear in the middle of the room, which is 2008. So in 2008, the market had a 20% loss on a 60-40 portfolio. It was a trash year in the stock market. It was a trash year in the real estate market. It was a trash year in the job market. It was just all around a bad economic time in the American conscience. And, you know, baby boomers remember this. Gen X remembers it. Millennials remember this. Everyone remembers this experience in the recent collective conscience of Americans. Boom. Okay, look at your retirement account balance. You need to take out about $67,000 to keep pace with that $57,000 lifestyle that you had about 5 years ago because 3% inflation. And your portfolio just completely took it on the chin. You're at $341,000 at the end of the year. And by this point, I can guarantee you that this person is concerned. This person is calling me in for a meeting. This person is asking, what the hell is happening to my portfolio? I'm getting nervous, etc. And what I would tell this person at this point is it's not a portfolio problem. It's a structural market issue. Um, Hang tight. We may make some adjustments to the portfolio. It'll come back, but don't sell out at this point in the market. And God willing, I've talked some people off some mighty big ledges in 2022 and even in 2020 when we went into the pandemic not to sell. Hopefully I would be able to convince this person not to sell and hold on, because guess what? 2009, okay. 2009, the sun comes out. The market returns on a 60-40 portfolio about 18%, which is pretty good. You still need to take out $69,000 to maintain your lifestyle, and we make that happen. But at the end of the year, your portfolio balance is $334,000. Okay. So you can kind of see the terminal endpoint of this, and the terminal endpoint of this is age 67. Okay. This is where you start Social Security, but this is also the point where your $500,000 in your IRA or retirement account, fully taxable account, runs flat. And what did you in was really 2008. It was 2008. Now we have 2008 experiences in the market every now and again. But when you were taking out such large withdrawal sums from your retirement account, having a 2008 moment early on in your retirement, and 5 years into your retirement is fairly early in your retirement, with a negative 20% return for even 1 year is absolutely devastating to the total market performance. Personally, I think you would run out of money before 67. Why? Emergencies happen. Let's say in year 2, your car is hit and you need to take out $10,000 here for repair. Well, it's $10,000 here, but if you had let that compound through the year, by the time you're 85, that probably would have been $120,000. Let's say there wasn't one bad market year in 2008. It was 3 successive bad market years, 2008, 2009, and 2010. You probably would have ran out of money by 2010. It's something called sequence of returns. I did a whole video on this. It is very important, but few financial advisors talk about it with clients because it's kind of getting in the weeds. But when and how bad markets occur in retirement are very important. I don't want to see a down market up here. Down here, when you're 85, 90, I don't care. We can recover from that. But it's really hard to recover from a bad market event during the first 5 to 7 years of retirement, and 2008 kind of cratered this portfolio and never could come back. Also, the problem that this individual is having is their annual withdrawal rate is just way too large for $500,000. But this is the average retiree spend in America. You also have to remember in retirement, you have to cover things like healthcare, glasses, dental. I know people have said, oh, you can do this with Obamacare and they'll give you a break on it, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to even get into that, and I don't encourage people to do that. But most people really would struggle with $500,000 in a traditional retirement account pretty early on in their retirement. You can see here, this person's tapped out by age 67. I think they probably would be done by age 64, to be honest, because like I said, people experience emergencies. They want to take larger than average annual withdrawals early on in their retirement. And it's just the portfolio. You run across the 2008. It completely flatlines the portfolio, and the portfolio can't recover. So you could see this concept of retirement at age 55 and just living a normal life from the outset really doesn't work well. Let's take a look at some other figures, some lesser figures, and see how this would work. Okay, so this is another client, and we're going to do something a little bit different here. Let's say this individual is age 55. They have $500,000 sitting in a taxable retirement account, but they are going to take $3,000 each and every month Or, and I'm going to go easy on taxes. I'm going to say 10% tax, which probably is very low, but they're going to have about $2,700 each and every month to live on. I'm also assuming a 3% rate of inflation, and they're going to start receiving their Social Security at age 67, and they're going to receive what the average American who takes Social Security at 67 receives, which is $2,052. Now, a couple of things about this. A lot of people say they can live on $2,700 a month in retirement. I often don't believe it. I often don't believe it. Unless that person has some extenuating set of circumstances. After their retirement party, they're going to get on a plane and they're going to leave America for good and they're going to live in Mexico for the rest of their retirement. Okay, fine. But if the person is living in the United States, whether it's a high cost of living area or a low cost of living area, I really give a lot of side eye to a budget of $2,700. Okay, let's say your home is paid off, you still have property tax, you still have maintenance, and you still have insurance. And in a lot of parts of America, insurance is absolutely skyrocketing. You still have unexpected bills, you still, have other things that come up in life. $2,700, even if that works for you today, if you fast forward it 15, 20, 25 years, $2,700 is not going to be enough. You want to do things in retirement. You don't want to just sit at home and watch The Price is Right. You want to travel. You want to dine out. You want to spend time with friends. That all costs money. And no matter how well budgeted, how frugal you are, life comes at you and you're going to have bills to pay, the same bills that you probably had to pay when you were working. So if somebody comes in and brings me a budget of $2,700 per month, I'm really giving that a lot of side eye, and I don't believe it. You have to really prove it to me that you can live on $2,700 a month. And even when people come in with higher figures, they're like, oh, I can live on $3,500 a month. I bring it up to $4,000 a month because life happens and you have to be able to handle all contingencies and all emergencies in retirement. So let's take a look at this, the big reveal. Okay, and let me walk you through this. Okay, so 2003, 18% or 19% return, really good market. You take out $36,000. At the end of the year, you'll have about $558,250. You're happy with the decision to retire. Okay, 2004, 8% return. Remember, we have to add in some inflation for the cost of living increase, 37,000. At the end of the year, you have $562,864. Once again, you're still loving that decision to retire. You absolutely made the right choice in your mind. Let's get to the elephant in the room, and that is 2008. Negative 20% return on a 60-40 portfolio. And boom, your portfolio is coming down. Now, it's stayed north of $500,000 for your first 5 years of retirement, but 2008 did it in. You need $41,000 to maintain your standard of living. Your account balance at the end of the year is $407,000. And at this point, you are concerned. You reach out to me. We set up a face-to-face appointment or a Zoom. We go over your portfolio. And I basically tell you the same thing. It's not a problem with the portfolio itself. It's a problem with the market. It'll come back. We make some tweaks or we don't make some tweaks and we move forward. Now, when you're 61 in 2009, the market does come back. 18% return, but you need $42,000, almost $43,000 to maintain your standard of living, and your account balance at the end of the year is $360,000. Now, at this point, you're very concerned. You're very concerned. And at this point, I would probably be telling you, you need to look at getting a job. Okay. So it's 2008, 2009. The stock market's down, the real estate market's down, the job market is down. Who's going to hire a 61-year-old or 62-year-old who's been out of work for 5, 6, 7, 8 years to work for their company? It's going to be pretty hard for you. The only options that are likely available to you may be minimum wage jobs or something quick. And is that what you really want to do at age 61, 62? Do you want to be on your feet for 8 hours a day in a customer service job? Do you really want to be earning, $15 an hour? And what, in 2008 it wasn't $15 an hour. I think it was like $7 an hour or something. Do you really want to be doing that in your early 60s? Because 2008 scared the willies out of you. Your portfolio took a hit and it's not coming back. Okay. So if we go forward several years, we start taking Social Security. Let me point this out. We start taking Social Security at age 67. So you're going to wait till full retirement age to start taking Social Security. And, right around full retirement age is where basically the median retirement account balance in America is 270,000. Now, median is very different from average. Average account balance is much, much lower. And when you have a big discrepancy between median account balance and average account balance, it's because you have a lot of people with zero and you have a lot of people with mega retirement account balances. And that's exactly the way it is structured. You have people who have zero or have a couple of $1,000, and then you have a fair number of people who have a significant account balance. And that's where the median lands at about 270,000. By this point, you're concerned and I'm concerned that you're ripping through this money very quickly. We say, okay, you have Social Security. That's going to provide about $2,000 a month. We're going to diminish your withdrawals from, $3,000 a month down to $2,000 a month. So you're going to take out $24,000 a year. You're like, okay, that's basically to stop the hemorrhaging of money out of this account because you're already crashing out. You're already in trouble. I can tell it. I can tell probably about 10 years up the road, this account is going to be depleted. So you start taking your Social Security. We reduce the amount of withdrawals. We have some good market years, 2017, we have like almost a 13% rate of return, but the damage is already done. The chaos has been set into motion and it never quite recovered from 2008. And then 2022 comes along. Boom, once again, it pancakes your portfolio return again. Okay. Where it really falls apart is when you are age 81. Okay. This is where things go to hell in a handbasket. And this is where pretty much the 500,000 retirement account is 100% depleted. And the only thing you really have left at this point is the $2,000 a month retirement check. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? As a financial advisor, I've seen this coming. I saw this coming when you retired at 55, but I definitely saw it more than a decade earlier when you started taking Social Security, that this portfolio was in serious trouble. Now, some people may answer, well, I may be dead at 81. Well, what if you're not dead? What if you're alive? Okay. You're probably not going to get a job at 81. No one's going to hire you. You probably don't want to work at 81. You're going to live a diminished life on Social Security. Okay. And all because of a decision made many years ago to retire at age 55. Personally, I don't think you would make it to 81. I think you probably run out of money somewhere along here, 75, 76, 77. Why? I brought this up earlier. People rarely stick to an annual withdrawal amount. Okay, so let's say when you're 57, you need a new car. So we have to take out an additional $40,000. When you're 62, the roof gives out on your house, so you need $40,000 to repair the roof. At age 68, the plumbing goes in your house, and you need $70,000 to fix the plumbing, and you also want to replace the knob and tube wiring in your house or something like that. Things happen. And like I said, if something happens in retirement that requires a lot of money, I want it typically to happen later in a person's retirement rather than early on, because even if you think you're taking out only $10,000 to deal with an issue, you really are robbing yourself of like $120,000 later on in retirement. And, adverse market events. Watch my sequence of return video where I explain it. Adverse market events have a huge impact on a person's retirement experience. And sequence of returns, typically you don't want an adverse market event like a 2008 early in retirement. You want it late in your retirement. And also you don't want adverse market events back to back to back. You don't want 3 years of negative 20% return. Like, no one's portfolio can really handle that level of stress. But here's the thing, I don't control the market. You don't control the market. No one controls the market. We can't tell what's going to happen in the future. I can guarantee you there will be 2008s and 2022s in the market in the future. When, how, and how severe these events will be, I don't know. I don't know, but they will occur. So this person retired way too early, taking $3,000 a month out of the portfolio early on, put too much stress on the portfolio. And pretty much by age 81, by these projections, but I really think they would run out of money much sooner than that, probably around 75, 76, 77. They're going to be completely tapped out of retirement accounts and relying only on their Social Security. And that's a pretty bad predicament to be in. So let's look at some other scenarios. So this is yet another client. And this client has $500,000 in a taxable retirement account, but he is only going to take $1,000 every month before taxes, which is about $900 after tax. I'm assuming a 10% tax rate, 3% inflation, and an average Social Security check of about $2,000. Now, who can live on $1,000 a month? Who can live on $1,000 a month? You're not doing that here in the US. Maybe this person has an extraordinary set of circumstances where he's from the Philippines and his plan is to go back to his village in the Philippines and live with his family. And they really don't need much, and they're very frugal and very good with money. And that $1,000 a month can really go far for that family. Or maybe this person is going to go live on a beach in Thailand and just be happy and just doesn't need that much money. If a person is planning to remain here in the US and has life in the US, I would not advise this course of action, because no one can really live on $1,000 a month, no matter how frugal you are, no matter how competent you are with money. I'm sorry, it's not reality. Okay, but let's go through this and let's talk it through. And this one actually has a happy ending. So starting off in 2003 with that 19% rate of return, you're taking out $12,000. Your retirement account balance at the end of the year is $582,000. Pretty good. 2004, you're taking out $12,360. Remember, we have some inflation to account for. Your account balance at the end of the year is $615,000. Pretty good. Now let's go to the bear in the room, 2008, negative 20% return on a 60-40 portfolio. This is actually a pretty big boom. It pancakes the portfolio from $712,000 down to $555,000. Okay. But you still have a smile on your face because this is more money than you started off with, right? It's still over $500,000. It didn't completely decimate the portfolio. You only need about $14,000 this year to make ends meet. We have a conversation. You're a little bit concerned, but you're not, your hair is not falling out over this amount. I tell you, it's not a portfolio issue. It's a market issue. Hold the position, or let's make some tweaks and we move forward. The next year, 2009, you have an 18% return. All right, you need $14,300 to pay your bills, and the retirement account balance is $642,000. So let's fast forward this. And let's fast forward this at age 67 right here. You start taking your Social Security, and I say, okay, I'm looking at your account balance. Why don't we give you a little bit more money to deal with? So instead of taking out $1,000 a month from your retirement portfolio, let's take out $2,000 a month from your portfolio. So you say, okay, let's do that going forward. So you get $2,000 a month from your retirement portfolio, $2,000 a month from the government to live on. Look at this balance. It's still going up. And at the end of your life, at age 85, let's say, God willing, you make it to age 85, you have close to 2.5 million. Now, do I realistically believe you will have 2.5 million at age 85? No. Why is that? Emergencies happen. Life happen. this year you needed to get a new car. When you're 67, you needed to have some kind of surgery that Medicare didn't cover. You needed a hearing aid here. There are points in time where you'll need to handle life emergencies, but because you stuck to a very rigid withdrawal of only $1,000 a month starting at age 55, and you carried that forward for the first 12 years of your retirement, you have enough of a buffer to be able to handle emergencies later in retirement. So if we need to go and carve out money for special events that happen in your life later in life, we can do that. You also weren't wiped out by adverse market events. You survived 2008, you survived 2022, and you were able to continue with your retirement plans without being completely wiped out. But once again, there's the question, who can live on $1,000 a month from a retirement account? Of course, you can tell me, oh, I would have a job, or I would have another account, or then you're not retired on 500,000. If you have a job, you have more than 500,000 because you have a regular income. If you have another account, you don't have 500,000, you have more than $500,000. For this scenario, I'm assuming that you don't work another day in your life. You were truly retired. Can you retire on $500,000 at age 55 if you take out $1,000 a month and somehow magically make that cover all expenses, at least for the next 12 years? Perhaps. Like I said, the final say-so really needs to be done by an accountant or a certified financial planner. But this works out so well because the person isn't overstressing the portfolio and sticks to a plan of taking out only $1,000 a month, and only changes that plan at age 68, when they began taking $2,000 a month. And this portfolio can withstand this according to historical market returns. Okay, so we are shifting gears and we are talking about another individual. So once again, this individual retires at age 55, has $500,000 in a taxable retirement account. They're going to take out $2,000 a month before taxes. Inflation is 3%, and I'm going to go easy on them by saying taxes are 10%. Once again, I think taxes are going to be higher in the future at the federal level. And if you live in a high tax state, this already is incorrect, but I'm going to go easy on them and just do a straight 10%. This person's going to start taking Social Security at age 67, and they're going to get the amount the average American gets, which is $2,052. So here is the big reveal, and we'll talk through it. Okay. All right. So let's talk through it. So 2003, the portfolio returns 60-40 portfolio returns 19%. They withdraw $24,000 this year, and their retirement account balance is about $570,000 at the end of the year. 2004, market returns 8%. They take $24,720 to account for inflation, and their retirement account balance is now $589,712. I'm sorry, $589,172. Let's go to the elephant in the room, which is 2008. Let's take a look at that. Okay, negative 20% return on a 60-40 portfolio. Trash year in the market, real estate, and in jobs market. Boom, the portfolio collapses down to $481,483, and you need to take $27,822 out of your portfolio. At this point, you're concerned, you book an appointment with me, we talk through your portfolio, I tell you the exact same thing I told the other people. This is a market issue, it's not a portfolio issue. Maybe we make a few tweaks, we hold the position, and we move forward. So once again, 2009, the market comes back. It's 18% return. Your portfolio balance is $540,000. You take out about $29,000 to live. And basically over time, it takes longer, but over time, your portfolio recovers. Here at age 67, you start taking your Social Security. You're still taking out technically that $2,000 a month, which has now come close to $3,000 a month because of inflation. but your overall $500,000 account balance is $694,180. Okay, let's move forward. End of life, you're 85. You may end up with more than $1 million with this plan. Now, do I think you're really going to end your life with $1 million? No. Why? Emergencies happen. Like I said, this year the roof goes on your house at age 72 and you need to have a $40,000 withdrawal to pay the roofers. A pipe bursts underneath your house and it's bad and it takes $60,000 here to take care of your piping. I would rather see adverse events that require major financial draws happen later in retirement rather than early in retirement. Because if that pipe under your house goes this year and you need to take out, let's say, I'm going to diminish it because of inflation and going back to time, let's say it takes $30,000 to fix it. That $30,000 probably was close to $250,000 if you had market returns and forwarded by 30 years. So I know people are like, well, I have savings accounts or I have CDs or this or that. If you have savings account and you have CDs in excess of this 500,000, you do not have $500,000 in retirement savings. You have $500,000 and whatever you have in savings and CDs and in other accounts. I also got a question about inheritance. I do not count inheritances in retirement projections unless you have actually received that inheritance, because a lot can happen with inheritances. You may not get what you thought you were going to get. Maybe your, parent or great aunt Gertie goes into a long-term care event and really draws down their retirement savings. I've seen inheritances end up in courts and disputes. Until it is in your pocket, I do not count it, and we do not take it as a given that that money will be yours. So I gave different scenarios, and if this video is popular, I could do another video of how I would do it as a financial advisor if I had to leave my working career at 55 and how I would structure everything. Remember, this person is not married. This person is single. If I can make it work for you as a single, odds are I can make it work for you married. I'm not putting any sort of special circumstances on this. This person doesn't have a pension. This person doesn't have an extra job or real estate or, a YouTube channel. This person is literally retiring and just not working again after age 55 with 500,000 in their retirement account. And you can see for most scenarios, it's just not a viable plan. Sure, you have $2,000 a month or $1,800 a month here. Who can live on $1,800 a month in the United States? Even if your home is paid off and all that good stuff, it's often just not enough money to be able to live. Also, how are you going to cover your medical? I know like Obamacare discounts if you earn under a certain amount. You still have vision, you still have dental, you still have other expenses. It's too low. It's too low. So I'm going to switch over to my other camera for a wrap. I wanted to say a few words to conclude what I just did on the computer. A couple of principles that I think you should walk away with is I don't believe in retirement at age 55. Under rare circumstances, will it really work out for people? You're going to have to work or have other income or have special circumstances in some capacity to carry you through if you do start your retirement at age 55 and you start drawing on your retirement accounts. I really don't advise doing it, but please talk to a financial advisor. Don't take my word for it. Like I said, this was just for demonstration purposes, but you really need to talk to a financial planner and accountant before you pull the trigger on retirement, especially if you're trying to set up an early retirement. Sequence of returns. Where down markets happen in your retirement really, really matters. You don't want to retire at 55 and then have 56, 57, 58 be absolute trash years in the market. Most people retirement accounts cannot handle that level of stress early on in retirement. If you have a bad market, you want that bad market to happen long in retirement when you're 20 years in retirement. You have your first bad market. That would be most ideal. But of course, we don't control sequence of returns, and from one year from the next we don't know what the overall return will be for that year. Next thing that I want to emphasize, inflation matters. There's a huge difference between 2% and 3% inflation. Personally, I do all my retirement projections with 3% inflation, but inflation can completely flatline a person's retirement. You don't do yourself justice by underrating your inflation. You have to have a realistic inflation rate in your retirement planning. I encourage people to go with 3%, 4%, 5%. Almost no one makes it in retirement, but don't underestimate the power of inflation. I've seen it really do a lot of damage to people's retirement savings. Next thing is, if you take money out early on in retirement, there is a ripple effect. Like I said, taking out $10,000 when you are 55 may not seem like a big deal, but think of it as you really are taking out the equivalent of $100,000 to $120,000, probably about 25 to 30 years on. So you're taking that $10,000 to deal with that, here and now emergency, but you really are robbing yourself of some serious growth and serious potential for that money later on in your retirement. So be very cautious what you take out during your first years of retirement from your retirement account, and keep it to absolute essentials. So there you have it. If you'd like to see how I would make these numbers work on $500,000, I'll do another video on that because this video is already really long. But give me feedback. There's been some great conversation around why a $500,000 retirement at 55 will not work. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. And if you found this information useful, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.